Today is the first Sunday of Advent. Advent meaning the arrival or coming, and we are preparing for the arrival or coming of Christ that we celebrate at Christmas, and also reminding ourselves that Christ has promised to come again. For our daily readings for the next 4 weeks, they will follow my theme from Sunday. And my theme for Advent is I'm going to be talking about Jesus' family tree. I'm going to be talking this week about his genealogy and some of the ancestors in Jesus' family tree. And then in subsequent weeks, we'll be talking about his aunt and uncle, Aunt Betty and Uncle Zach, his cousin John, his mom and dad. So I look forward to sharing with you much more about Jesus' family in the coming weeks. Now, today I'm going to begin with a verse from Matthew chapter 1, verse 16, which is towards the end of the genealogy that Matthew begins his gospel with. And that verse says, "And Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called the Messiah." Now, Matthew begins his gospel with an account of the genealogy of Jesus the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. And part of what Matthew is trying to establish is Jesus' royal descent, that he is the true son of Abraham, as we will see in his gospel, and he's also a son of David. So that's being established right off the bat. But the interesting thing is reading the details of the genealogy in Matthew. Now, let's be honest. I know many people who, when they get to a genealogy in the Bible, they just skip it if they're reading through. They go, oh, well, there's nothing there, nothing to see here. I'll just skip by. But if you skip the genealogy of Jesus in Matthew chapter 1, you actually are missing some very shocking, surprising stories that frankly make my sermon today PG-13. Now, if you look closely at the genealogy of Jesus, what you will notice is there are 4 women mentioned: Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, and they can't even bring themselves to use Bathsheba's name, so they just say the wife of Uriah. The final woman who's mentioned is Mary. You'll have to tune into my sermon today to hear me share in depth about these women and their stories. But let me note that all 4 women before Mary, none of them are Hebrews. They're all, if you'll forgive the term, sexually suspect. One of them is even a prostitute. And yet, God works through all these women and all these men in Jesus' family tree. I don't know if you have people in your family tree where you're very proud and talk very openly about the people who have been successes, and there's other people, we just don't talk about them. But in Jesus' family tree, part of what we learn is that everything is shared. And Jesus comes from a very human family tree. With all of its flaws, there's still things we can learn. I hope you'll tune into my sermon today to learn more.